So another thing that's important for breast health and prevention is to look into nutrition. There's certain specific nutrient deficiencies that will promote issues with the breast tissues. And so when we look at nutrition, we want to make sure you have a lot of color in your nutrition. So you have all the color of the rainbow in terms of veggies. I'm not talking about like Skittles and Takis, and those are like shiny color, but that's not what I meant. I meant more like all the colors of you have your leafy greens and you have your reds and all those things that will help create like bring a good amount of antioxidants so that your breast tissues are protected, and you'll bring in the foods that will promote your detoxification. One thing with breast health is hormones. And for a lot of people, they don't do the proper detoxification process at the level of the liver to make sure that they excrete their hormones the right way. There's different pathways of excretion of hormones, and some will be cancer promoting more than others. There's testing that can be done for that, functional testing to see which pathway your body is promoting which pathways, but there's things that you can do. So without knowing exactly which pathways are chosen by your body, like there's things that you can do to just help move the toxins in your body in general. So one of these things actually is make sure that you don't have issues with constipation. Also, the way it works in detox in your system is that the toxins come down to the liver. The liver will clean. Then from there, it comes through the bloodstream. Sorry, I'm like just go. I chose to do this, but I'm not really prepared. So your toxins will come through the bloodstreams, and then your liver will do the cleanse, no, the cleaning process. Then it will go toward urine, no, with the kidneys, or it will go toward the poop. Uh-huh. And so let's say one toxin comes to your liver. If you're constipated, it will go through the process of detox, then go through the poop. But then if the poop is not coming out after a certain time, the toxin is then recirculated in the bloodstream and come again into the liver. So if you're constipated, one toxin coming in can be worth 2 or 3 times the normal load of that toxins, because it's recirculating again and again and again. So the first thing is we need to make sure that you're evacuating properly. I'll use the proper language and not poop. We need to make sure you're evacuating properly. And so make sure there's enough fibers in your diet. You need to, and I think people know nowadays where to find fibers, but sometimes you need an extra help, like you need extra help sometimes. There's something to look at on the emotional level. So I haven't spoken about that, but that's a huge piece. When working in a hospital, we would see that most of the time when you start removing layers, the the bottom cause most of the time is something emotional, that eventually had an impact on the physical body. I could talk a lot about this because I know it can be controversial, but maybe one book you could read to open your mind about that is the work of Dr. Candace Perth. She's a PhD, an immunologist, and she wrote the book Molecules of Emotion, and her PhD is in psychoneuroimmunology. So how emotions will really have a real effect on your neurology and your immunology and everything that has to do with the function of your body, really. One common thing around constipation is when there's something we're not able to let go of, something old, no, like that you need to let go of, but you're holding on to it. And sometimes and most of the time it's unconscious stuff, And sometimes it can be very conscious. I remember when my son was just a baby, he had issues with constipation, and I was breastfeeding, obviously, and I was having a hard time letting go of his father. So, like, he was reflecting what I was living, and obviously always holding him, at up to 2 years old, kids are not aware that they're separated from the mother. So that's just an example, but that's one thing to look into. What am I not able to let go of? I didn't think I would talk that speak that long about constipation, but I guess a lot of people need to hear this. And then other than fibers, you need and emotions, you need to make sure you're drinking enough water and fluids. People sometimes you lose the reflex of thirst over time. It's just your innate intelligence, innate function of the body, that if you're going to be, let's say, in the desert, you cannot be thirsty all the time. So at some point your body just let go of the reflex of thirst. And I think most people go through life, and they're like, well, but I'm not thirsty, how come I'm dehydrated? No, because your body has helped you in this dehydration process, and now you're not feeling it anymore. But when you're going to start drinking, you're going to feel so dehydrated, and then you need to make sure you're drinking the right water for you and for that process. So water that is really hydrating you. And that's not, well, I could talk long about water. So maybe I'll do another video about what type of water you should be drinking. Um, and then, other than constipation, to promote detox, there's specific food that will support your liver function. So those foods are, for example, all the cruciferous broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, garlic, onions. The rosemary is good to help protect the liver, as the other foods that I mentioned help to make the toxins move through the liver. Restricting alcohol and caffeine and tobacco helps for the liver detox process too. And then making sure you have enough amino acid, minerals, and antioxidants, no? And so those are the things that you can do to promote detox. And then for sure, like personally, I choose to use supplements on top of food intake. I still see food as my first line of therapy. I feel my mind has a lot to do with it. Motion, too. You need to make sure you're moving. That's helping your detox process. You're sweating. So you're sweating the toxins, too. Making sure you're moving the lymphatic system, which I spoke about in the other video, and you can use this for detox in general too. And I choose to add supplementation to this because I find that sometimes I do want to have a coffee, or sometimes I'm not having always the best ideal nutrition, when especially if we're outside and I'm having tacos and stuff like that. And so I choose to use supplements, and you can use a liver support that will help in this process. You can use probiotics to make sure you have the good flora, so your digestion is optimal. And you can use good antioxidants, good minerals, and even fibers. No, that can be added. If you're interested, I distribute all of that, so you can send me a message if you're like unsure where to go in this. It's a whole world supplementation, no? It's a whole world. There's a lot of things on the market, and there's different level of quality. So that's something that I can support you with. So, oh yes, one more thing. Make sure you get dental check your dental checkup. Make sure you do this. There's a lot of toxins that are hidden infection, and that will add the amount of toxins in your body. If, for example, you have a hidden infection in there, which a big trigger will be root canals. So it's considered dead material that stays in your body. So energetically, it has an impact. It can create interference, but it's not just that. It's dead tissue that's still there. You can develop some infection in the bone around, and just always be swallowing that material, and it goes into your gut, start to shift your gut. Maybe then it starts to have like arthritic type of flare up in your joints, but maybe you're not aware you have something going on into your digestion. No, there's a good amount of research that will connect, for example, rheumatoid arthritis with leaky gut syndrome and some food you're intolerant with, but maybe the first cause is a tooth. That is, maybe it's an infection in there, swallowing the material, damaging the walls of your small intestine, leaking molecules into the bloodstream, creating an immune reaction to this, and depositing those immune complex into the joints. It's just an example. That's a way we look at health from a functional medicine perspective. So where would we start? We would start with, let's treat the let's find that infection, because maybe you're taking medication for the arthritis on long term. What does it do? you know and so go to the cause. So that's what we do in functional medicine. So that's a really long video. My goal was just to talk about promoting detox properly. And I could talk more. If you want more, I can do more. Just put something in the messages, and I can add more information to this, or which specific type of supplements or which exercise is ideal for detox promotion. But that's all right now. The goal is to promote good, healthy breast.